Yeah, it's much better.
Okay, good. Sounds good. So this is the last session, right at 10, maybe 9. We'll give everybody just a tiny bit more time. Mm, Today is about contracts to close, which I find is one of the most important pieces for you, believe it or not. Right at this point, our clients love you because they just bought a house, right? And this is where sometimes things go sideways for your clients. And the more you're preparing them and the more they are prepared, your session, your finish up with your clients will be at a very high point. And I have a few tricks to show you what to do and how to do it and stuff like that. So, how is everyone finding Ignite? Has it helped? Are you implementing some stuff?
Yes, yeah, it's been very helpful.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I would do it again, just like some other people here have done it again. It's got many important little things and stuff, and I think there's probably a little difference every time. So why not take it again, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's been
And
very
what
helpful for us to
find
get, yeah.
as you move to different levels in your business, a lot of the courses that you can take will actually be very different the second time or the third time you take them. Um, Train the Presenter is one that I find every time I take it, and you've got different people, of course, but you're taking something else from it. The same as Bold. Like a lot of people say when you get into a Bold class, or I hear, oh, I've already done Bold. Well, did you implement it and did it bring you business? Yes, because on average, it's very, very high. Guaranteed the next time you take Bold, you're going to take totally different things out of it because you're already moving in one direction. So you're taking the stuff that's in that direction and expanding it in your business. Okay. I'm going to make sure I know how to. That's not good. Go. Okay, so this is what we've been going through from the beginning of the course. Now we're in the transaction side of it. So winning with buyers, winning and sellers, working with buyers and sellers, making and receiving offers, negotiating offers, get to the close, which is where we are now, and plan for the future. Now, some of the stuff today you're going to see, and I've noticed that they've changed some of the wording to fit more of what we're doing with closing. But I will go over everything that we do with the closings versus what Americans and other countries do. We definitely are still using lawyers. Other people are using closing companies. Okay. Okay. So you now have your contract. Okay. In the use of the timeline in your participation guide, we're going to go through that as we start moving through what happens now from contract close. And the next one is using the contract to plan out your different deadlines in the contract. So one of the things that we do, and it's you can either make a sheet that's already there so you don't have to continuously remind yourself of, okay, what do these people have to do? One of the things that I know we do ourselves with, and we've done it for years, and our clients really appreciate getting it. So the day after you have your firm deal, not firm, your pending deal, and you've got a contract that's been accepted, I would communicate with your agents, with your clients. Okay. And one of the best ways to do that is go through the contract, write a letter, perfect time to, congratulate them, which is, again, it's you got them the house. So it's congratulating you as well and them understanding that. But what we do is we have a form letter. It's already written out, makes it super easy. You just add in your people's names And then it has all the different possible things that they're going to have to work through before closing. Okay. And I do believe the next one. So the first set, there's two parts to, and I'm looking at the screen and not here, so sorry for the side of my head. So you have an accepted offer, and then you're going to have your inspection period. Okay. So that is where you go from pending and you work through all the conditions until you get to your form that they have to fill out, or you have to fill out your 408, which I have never used. So don't ask questions about 408. I'll bring in a broker for you for that. But it is something that you have to make sure you're doing, and doing it in a timely fashion. So that letter and the checklist that you'll send to your clients is an easy way to do this, because you're actually doing it for yourself. So you're going to keep a copy. And if you are the type that may forget about timelines and things like that, I would put it in your computer, in your calendar, and just leave yourself a note that says, okay, by this day, I have to have the inspection finished. By this date, I have to have the water test done. By this date, we have to have the lawyer's review. So if everyone can just start sort of screaming out different things that are going to happen in between the acceptance of the offer, or could happen. It doesn't mean it's going to happen in everyone, but why don't we start putting down a list of these things that could happen in any transaction? Okay, so I already spoke about the building inspection. That's one that nobody forgets. Can you think of some other ones?
Water test.
Water test, if you're on a well. Other things?
Mortgage acceptance.
Financing.
Letter of insurance.
Anything else?
Lawyer review.
Sorry?
Lawyer review.
Yep, perfect. Anything else?
Review of any documents they needed to submit.
Yep. Anything else? There's actually amazing amounts of this stuff, because don't forget, you could be putting something in that's different from a normal contract to this, like a contract that you have written. So you could have that they have the time to look up the leased equipment. May not have leased equipment on everything, but they can actually go through it and see what is leased, and they can make sure that they are aware of the terms of the lease. So that paperwork can all be done. Anything else?
I just have a question. Like, do solar panels and stuff, are they coming up more often and stuff in closings?
They are. Anyone that has one on
yeah.
it. So especially, there's two things that could happen with solar panels. The ones that I've heard of, the owners actually pay it out,
Right.
because you
Okay.
can have financing on it. So
Yep.
that's another place that could be a condition. If you do have to take over the financing for the solar panels, you may have to be approved to do that. So there's going to be different things that happen during that whole section with leased equipment. We don't call it a lease with solar panels. It's more of a financing contract. Right? Of everyone I've seen done, like for in our team and stuff, the owners have actually paid it out. It's a big feature. A house sold down the street from us. It originally came on the market at 1.2 million. And the people had passed, both the husband and the wife. And it was overpriced at the beginning. It's a tired house. It was an older, it's probably 35 years old. And the upgrades they did sort of made it look like it was an old house. So they did a massive amount of work. They had $80,000 worth of solar panels on the actual roof. So your building inspector, like everything else, will look at the system. If they think that there's any type of problem, bring in another contractor and they'll inspect
Okay.
it for you.
Yeah.
Usually the people that put it in
Right. Yeah.
know the system well and they'll come out and check it. Plus, it's a good way to get your clients involved with the house, meaning they may not have ever had solar panels before, but if you bring in somebody can explain it all when they, especially if they're taking over the lease or the contract, then they will understand how it's working. Okay. And I find that with everything. If you have questions from your building inspector about anything, so it could be electrical issue, bring in an electrician. Could be a plumbing issue, bring in the plumber. And then that way, number one, they've got other people telling them about the house they're buying, and you have an expert in the field. Your building inspectors will say that, or, you know, they'll say you may want to bring this person in because this is an issue. Or if your people have questions about it, I would bring in the people at that point as well. Okay. One of the things to remember with that, let's say you're bringing in a plumber. That's part of your inspection. So if the plumber is going to run over your acceptance time or your date that you can only have until, make sure that you extend your contract. Okay. And again, this is exactly what we do on the form. So we have, like, let's say a list of everything that could be on as a condition on your offer. And then you'll have the date there. You have another box that says amended, and it may be an extension on financing. But just make sure you're keeping your timelines exact. Okay. One of the things I do, and you guys, you know, you can tell me if when you bought a house or when you sold a house, and this is very much you choose what you like better. I make all my conditions acceptable to the same date. Okay. Mostly because I do not want to forget something. Okay. Other people don't do that. So they put in the financing first, and that's going to be faster than the building inspection. I just put whatever my last date is going to be, that's the date for all conditions to be accepted. Okay. And then you're not really is having as much issue trying to get those dates satisfied on time. Okay. One of the other things is just making sure that your clients are aware of what they have to do. So them having this list really makes it easy for them. I tell mine put it on their calendar so that they know things have to be done. This is the point where a lot of people don't understand. They know they're going to be putting in an offer. They know that they're going to, be looking at houses, but they don't have always got a clear understanding of what happens in between acceptance and the conditional dates. Okay. I also put my deposit in after my condition date. So if I am firming it up on the 12th, the deposit will be either on the 12th or it'll be on the 13th. A lot of people don't do that either. They put it in right at the beginning. There are some agents that will counter that the deposit has to come in right at the beginning. Why do you think I prefer to do it the day after? Any ideas? Okay, so say you start your conditions, right? And you get 10 days through, but you gave your deposit on day one. Then you actually let the deal go. Something is wrong with the inspection, something is wrong with the electrical, whatever. Okay. And in that time, they're still looking for a house, right? So now they don't have the house that they thought, so they're disappointed about it. And they want to start looking again. What happens if the other company already has the check? Does everyone understand? So you're terminating deal now, but the company has your deposit. What happens? You're going to have to ask for the deposit back. Companies are not super fast at doing that. Okay. Which means your people are sort of held up. Also, if they did it with a check, it is getting faster on some things and some companies. Like I know for us, we have automatic deposit or electronic deposit for deposits for people. That means their money has already cleared our bank. We receive a check from a client in trust. It goes into our trust accounts. We're going to wait until that check actually clears. So it could be up to 10 days. So the way I see a lot of people doing it now, they just put it as soon as you firm up the deal. So if you don't firm up the deal and you end up terminating, they don't have to wait for a deposit return in order to actually put in another offer because they'll have the money. Okay. Any questions on that side of it? No? We're all clear with the different things that could happen. If you were to put stuff in order, again, I want you to unmute yourself or unmute yourself. What order would you do these things with your clients? So you have conditions to be met. Where would you start? So you've got deal. What are you doing the next day?
Lining up
Or that
everything.
Sorry?
Lining up everything, like just
Organizing yourself first. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's two places you should move as fast as possible. And this is totally up to you, the way you do it. Some people say you've got the entire agreement. You can send it to your lawyer and your people. Unfortunately, some people are not quite as organized as maybe you are. I would suggest get their names and send it to them directly. Then you know you had it, and your clients are happy because you're taking something off their plate. Okay, nothing's worse than getting 2 days before financing, find out the mortgage broker never got the deal. Okay, and often people sort of drag their feet through this. So those two should be sent out right away.
Lauralee, I'm finding that more and more it seems to be taking a really long time to get letters from people or to book like inspectors to come in to do their inspection. So I started letting the clients know before they even made an offer that they needed to prepare their mortgage person and their insurance person and to start calling around for an inspection person and prepare them for the fact that they're going to need one as soon as an offer is put in so that they can get a tentative date in place or at least get a time frame of how long it'll take so that when I write my conditions date that I have an idea if it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks to do. Because
Okay.
I found the first couple times that I did it, I was, I was told the rule of thumb is if you give them more time, they'll take more time. But I'm finding
Then
that if
you're
I give
asking
them,
for
yeah,
extensions.
but if I don't give them enough time, then I'm doing extensions automatically. So now I'm always kind of in the ballpark of 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how the clients have had discussions with their people. Because I find the
And it
mortgage
also
letter is
depends
taking
on
long.
what's going to happen. So financing, I'll be honest with you, nobody gets in my car without a firm approval, which means their paperwork is already into the bank. They have been approved for a specific amount on the house, and all they have to do is send the offer in. So they're not trying to find their P4s or their assessments or whatever the bank is going to ask. We've already done it. So I would strongly suggest working with people who are pre-approved. And it is a solid pre-approval, which means they've done a credit check, they've got all the paperwork, because people sort of fabricate what's going on in their lives a little bit, and they may forget one of the um, bills that they have to pay, or they may forget, uh, that we're behind in their MasterCards and their credit rating is crap. So I would get used to working with people that have firm approvals, which means that basically you're getting to this point and all they have to do is approve the house, because unless something has changed in your client's world, we should have no trouble getting an accepted offer. Really, you should never have a fallen deal on financing, because the only person that's losing in that is you. You're wasting a massive amount of time with someone that can't afford a house. Okay, so get to know your people that do firm approvals. Okay. Also, there's differences in banks. A few banks, as soon as they give you the letter, they don't recheck to make sure everything is okay. Other banks, credit unions will actually, a couple of days before the closing, will actually check everything again to make sure they're still working, make sure that they have the money in the bank that they need to have in the bank. It is a good thing to tell your clients at this point. And I'll tell you a story that is hilarious with this. One thing, as soon as they have approval, tell them to stop buying big purchases. Okay, so don't go to a furniture store to buy new furniture or your new house and put it on credit. Any idea why you shouldn't why you should tell them that?
It'll affect your debt ratio, won't it? If they do another check closer to the date.
Exactly. What are some other things that you have to be careful of?
Changing
a
jobs.
job. So Chad and I sold a house to our son. And of course, maybe we didn't have as many talks with him about different things that he had to do. We figured, he sat at our kitchen table for 23 years. He should understand more of this, which all of a sudden I get a phone call and my son is very excited that he just got a new job. And I said, what do you mean you got a new job? He says, oh, I was approached by another company and I've taken a position at a different job. And I panicked because banks are not going to like that at all. So my first call was to a friend who is his mortgage broker and said, we have a problem. And she says, well, what's the problem? I said, Jonathan just changed his job. She's like, oh no. So I said, Jonathan, you may have to back out of taking the job right away. Maybe, tell them that you'll be there in 3 months and go back to Irving, shipbuilding. And he said, why will they not accept it? And I said, because I'm guaranteeing you your new contract with your new company says that you're on probation for a certain amount of time. So now you don't have that solid job you used to have. So he got his first job the day out of school. Sorry. Yeah, he got a job right out of school. And he is an engineer. So financing went quite easy through everything. But he didn't have a contract that said he was on probation 3 months, 6 months. So he got his contract. He said, yes, Mom, I am on probation for 6 months. I said, well, you're going to have to call them and tell them that you're going to stay with your other job until your house closes at minimum. And he said, okay. So he phoned a new job and he said, I have a problem. I won't be able to start when you want me to start because I just bought a house and I will not get my financing and I'm going to get sued for completion. And they said, well, you have a job though. You have a job with us. And he said, but I am on probation for 6 months. And they said, nope, start when you're going to start. We're going to take the probation period off the contract. So that was fine. But it's just thinking, these are other, like, especially if there's so much to know. And over the years, you'll get sort of in a rhythm. I like checklists. And that proved it to us because we tell everybody, don't go out and buy a new car. Don't go out and buy new furniture for your new house. Don't change your jobs until you close your property. Because things can happen. And if your bank rechecks and something's different, they could actually pull the mortgage. And that's a dangerous time for it to happen because they're not going to sue the bank. They're going to sue your buyer for completion. Does anyone know what that means? Nobody wants to know what it means, for sure. Basically, they're not filling their end of the contract, and it can be huge. So think about a situation where someone buys a house and that person who sold the house buys another house, and that person that sold the second people a house goes into the third property. So you could have a chain reaction. So your people are the ones that stop the train from moving. What happens if that seller cannot close on their house? Right? Because they may need the money from their sale in order to move to the next property. What could happen during completion issues is, one, if they can't do it, because maybe the bank will say, no, you're not getting the mortgage now, they're going to lose their deposit. Almost 100% guaranteed. They may lose the house because it would actually, sometimes someone will give them an extension if they think they can put stuff in place, but they will be sued for all of the expenses that the seller has coming to them, which would mean they're going to have put it back on the market. So say you sold the house for 500, put it back on the market, but the market has shifted a little bit and now you only can get 450 for it. Your buyers could be on the hook for the $50,000. Okay. You can also be on the hook that if they got out of the house already and they're maybe renting, have a mortgage payment and a rent payment. So you could be paying that as well. You can even get this stress from it, and they will ask for money for everything you're putting them through. So if something is terminating after the inspection and the condition state, get them to their lawyer as fast as humanly possible, because they will work with the other lawyer to try to figure something out. Okay, but definitely your people could lose a lot of money. So that inspection period, when that's gone, anything after that can be really bad. And I'll be honest with you, Chad and I have never had one till last year. So 30 years, we've never had something all right near the end. And it was the bank person that messed up because they never they told her, yeah, you're fine to buy a house to this amount, blah, 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 everything. Bank manager, the bank mortgage person was relatively new and didn't tell her that she couldn't have two houses at the same time. So she did have an acceptance letter, but it didn't say it's based on her selling her house. But when push came to shove, they weren't going to give her the mortgage. So that's the first time in 30 years. Everything you do before this period will make that period much easier. Okay. So what happens in between inspection and closing? And we can do buyers and sellers with this one. Just want to see what the next one is. Okay, first of all, that is your time. In between inspection period and the closing, we love you. They bought a house and you have made their lives easy. That has to continue to go through, okay? So lining up everything they have to do for closings, everything they have to do with their house. If you are the seller, stress to them. The better your house looks and how clean it is, and you've hit every condition that you had to do for this house, the day of closing is going to be super easy. Has anyone here had a closing when you walked in and there's garbage all over the place? It will happen. You're going to walk in and they've left stuff. One of the big things is, oh, I thought they would like to have that. Well, they may not want to have that and they may consider it garbage. Okay. Wood has been a big thing with this. And I would talk to your clients about different things, especially your sellers. If they want to leave something, have that conversation with the other agent before the closing. And just say, would you like my client to leave all the firewood? Most of the time, they're going to be excited about it. Or I'm going to leave them a lawnmower. If your client doesn't want the lawnmower, it's going to be a problem on closing because they then will actually have to figure out something for lawnmower. So there'll be a holdback. Garbage in the house. I've heard all kinds of stories. What I tell my sellers is have your house look exactly the way you want it to look when you bought it. Okay? Room clean, it says often. If you know your people are very meticulous and their house is tickety boo, I would put into an offer that you want it professionally cleaned. Okay, because room cleaned is not going to be good enough for those people. Okay, so different things, getting to know your clients, making sure that you've put everything in place to make sure that it goes smoothly on closing. Okay, one of the things that we have done, and it works really well for KW, we bring a bottle of wine if from our sellers, and it'll just be on the counter when they're doing their walkthrough. And it's like sellers can write a little note that says, we've raised our family here. We love this property. I hope you love it as much as we do. Enjoy a glass of wine through your move. Thing like that.
Or Lauralee, how do you know what kind of wine? I'm not a wine connoisseur. And if you want to get a congratulatory bottle of wine, how do you know which to pick out that might be generic enough for everybody to enjoy?
So I'm not a wine person either, to be very honest with you. And Chad laughs hysterically at me because I go into the liquor commission and buy the prettiest bottle.
That's what I would do.
So one of the things I have learned when I know the person I'm giving it to is very into wine, I will actually just ask someone at the liquor corp and ask, I know nothing. I play completely dumb. I know nothing about wine. So, it could be a plant. I do that sometime too, because I have this little thing. Am I giving a bottle of wine to someone that may be an alcoholic that is in recovery? And so it doesn't have to be a bottle of wine. Sometimes your clients are moving out of town and the plants are staying. And I just tell them, pick your prettiest plant. Instead of giving it to someone else, leave it on your island in the kitchen. Wish the new owners well. Okay. But making sure that the house is ready for closing is really important to train your people to make sure it's done properly. Because the most stressful day is going to be that closing day when you get a call from your lawyer saying, we want $1,000 back because you left garbage in the backyard. So think about that. That means, and most of your clients are going to say, well, that's ridiculous. I'll go and clean it up on the closing day. Not good, right? So telling them how to prepare their house for the closing is really important. The other thing is preparing, because don't forget, this could be another company. It could be an agent that never, thinks Broom Clean is clean enough to move in. Prepare your buyers to what could happen on the day of closing. And then when you go in and it looks really good, really nice closing because they were expecting a little worse. Okay. You can explain, you know, the way you clean a house is not necessarily the way they're going to clean a house. It's a big move. Everyone here, I believe, if you're a real estate agent, you should move once a year and see the stress that your people are in trying to get this move done. Okay. Well, don't do that. Obviously, I've been in the same house for 32 years. But everyone should understand that's not an easy time. They're tired, cranky, and that's both sides because your buyers are usually a little bit more up. Sellers are tired at that point because they have prepared their house, they've got all their stuff out of the house, and that can be very stressful. When is a good time, or is it a good thing to ask for a testimonial? When do you think the best time is?
When they're happy.
Yep. They're not happy with you, don't ask. Just go to the next one. Because there's some people you're never going to make happy.
I would say
Anybody
after a few days after they have moved in, because even once you move in, you've still got the unpacking and figuring out where everything goes and making sure everything is, you know, hooked up in the house. So I would give it a little bit of time before I started asking them to sit down and write stuff.
Honestly, I would say during that period or right at closing. That's when they're happy. After that, things start going wrong. Start going wrong in the house, or the fridge isn't working, or this isn't working. I'm not happy. And for some reason, it's down on you sometimes, which is not great. Okay. Always work when they're happy. What is very important for you to do after closing? Right now, you're married to these people, they love you. What happens? Closed. They don't hear from you. Put it in your calendar 3 days after closing, 1 week after closing, 2 weeks after that, 1 month after that. Because you're going from being their best friend and always there for them to, I got my money, let's go. And buyers will actually say, oh yeah, my agent closed the property. As soon as he got his money, I never seen him again. Okay. So that communication after is really important. And it's super fast. It's super easy. You can even text and just say, hey, I was thinking about you this morning. How is everything going with the house? Okay. Or how are you enjoying the neighborhood? Whatever it is. Having that communication is super important. I don't know how many times I've heard, you know, she was my best friend and then disappeared completely. I can guarantee you, you're not going to get referrals from that person if you do it. Okay. When's a good time to ask for referrals? Day you meet them. Okay. Just tell them, like, they will say things like, oh, this was so informative. Thanks so much. And you can say, you know, do you know anyone else that's selling or buying? Make sure you hand out my name. Things like that. I kind of laughed, and I'm going to niche on him a little bit. Dad has a lawyer that he had worked with for years and years and years. Well, and then he retired. He started with a new lawyer. It's probably 2 years ago. And we've used him personally for properties and stuff, and he's fabulous. And he asked Chad to go for lunch. Chad looked up how many deals were actually sent to him, and it was moving dangerously close into the 50 deals. Even some of his mentors use this lawyer. He is very good. And he asked Chad to go for lunch. And he said to me walking out the door, I'm going to ask him for referrals because I've sent him 50 deals. And I said, well, you haven't asked them yet? And he goes, no, it just never comes up when we're talking about deals and stuff. So he sat at lunch, he asked for some referrals, 3 in 2.5 weeks. What was the difference? He asked for the referral. Honestly, nobody thinks about sending you a referral unless you tell them you would like their referrals. Okay? You can say, if you had someone, would you be comfortable referring me? Something like that. And do not forget to thank them. And don't just thank them when deal closes and you get your money. Even if it's just a thank you letter. As soon as they send you a referral, even if it doesn't work out, say thank you for sending that referral. The easiest deals you're going to do are people that are referred to you. Does anyone know why? So there's 3 things people are going to work with you. They're going to keep a client if they like you, know you, trust you. So if you get a referral from someone, a friend of theirs or a family member, halfway there, because they already like you because their friends like you. They already trust you because their friends trusted you enough to give your name. And you're working with them right away. Right? So it's all there for you. In the inspection period, after the inspection period, what else should you be telling your clients to do? Is that you brought something up, and that's what actually reminded me of it.
Sorry, I missed the question. What did you say?
Utilities.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure they remember that they're selling, they have to connect all of their stuff. They have to, if they're moving to somewhere, change the electrical over. And the buyers have to do the same. They have to call in and get all of that done. When do you think they should disconnect the power?
It should be on for closing day, shouldn't it? Or
Oh, it definitely should be.
yeah.
Okay, because they can't check anything. If you go
That's
into a
right.
house that has no power, you can't check if the oven's working. You can't check if the fridges are working. Nothing is working. You can't even know if the furnace is working a lot of the times because something is going to be electrical. They're in the dark, basically. I even tell some of my clients, do it the day after closing. So if something goes terribly wrong on closing, they can call and say, hey, do not disconnect because I'm still here. Right? And as soon as the other person calls in, they're going to actually make it on the same day. So one will be going in, one will be coming out. Okay, so make sure you're telling your buyers and your sellers. What other things do people have to do?
I always remind them to follow up a couple weeks after they get in to make sure that there's no issues, or sorry, get out for the people who sold it. When I sold my house last year, I was still getting bills 4 months after I sold. Yeah, it was shocking, and they were arguing with me on the phone. The first 3 phone calls, 45-minute phone calls, and they were arguing me that I had used the power. And I'm like, I haven't lived there since March. And this was now July, saying like, you need to like go back in your recorded conversations. But it took that long for the investigations. And finally somebody said, let me look into this further. She went back through a timeline and then said yes, because it said that I owed like $600. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
So it's
So
things like that come up and they're difficult. That's
yes.
why I would even Google. You want some lists? Google. Say, what should I be, what things have to happen last 5 weeks before you close a house? They'll give you lists. Okay. Or you lists for everything on the internet. and you can tweak them so they fit for you. Okay. Okay. We did talk about this a little bit. I just want to talk about the timeline. We started it and I didn't finish, but what do you think should be done first when you start your conditions? Free. Start everything that's free for your client. Your lawyer, your mortgage officer, all of that stuff, make sure is good before they start putting out thousands of dollars for inspectors or, you know, different trades and different things like that, because they're going to be paying for stuff at that point. And nothing's more frustrating for a client to pay for an inspection and then find out they can't get financing. See, and that, you know, inspections are $1,000. So that may fool them for buying a house for a little bit. Okay, so get all the other stuff in place first. Get them to talk to their lawyer, anything that's free in first. When you've got that done, start working through the things that they're going to have to pay for, with one exception. Almost immediately after closing, go and get a water test done. That is definitely one thing that seems to be dragging lately. Okay, and the sellers are not going to be happy if you're asking for an extension because you didn't take the water test. And that could take up to a week to come back sometime. Okay. Bulletproofing your deal. Have that list. Click it off when those things have happened. Tell your clients. It doesn't hurt in between the time to call them and say, hey, how are you doing with your closing list? How is the packing going? How is all kinds of different things going? Stay in contact with them and remind them, because you at one point could have sold 50 houses. This could be their first house and they don't really know what's happening. Okay. Talking to your inspectors, your lenders, and keeping up on what they're doing is really important too. Like, it always seems to be our kids, but the inspector forgot to show up. So it was like, okay, this isn't a problem for my son, but it's going to be a problem for the sellers. Okay, so different things like that, making sure. Put the onus back on your clients as well. Okay, what I always, we give names out. Here are 3 inspectors if you don't have inspectors. You only have to give them 1. I'm old school. I give them a couple so they can't blame it on me if something goes wrong. The other thing I do is say, all around, all of these guys are good. Just get the best price you can. Right? And then they know what they're getting into, and they're doing the running around and the work to make sure that all of these conditions will be met. Okay. It's hard. When someone knows that you're going to do something for them, they're going to let you do it. So you can get to the point where you're calling all the inspectors, you're calling all the contractors. Try to stand back from that, because maybe the first one that you're doing, that's easy because you're not super busy. But think about having to make all of those calls for every one of your deals if you're doing a deal a week, right? So put the onus back on the seller or the buyer to make sure that they're doing what they need to do as well. Not that you can't give them advice and different things, but it certainly makes it easier. Closing gifts. A lot of people give closing gifts. It ranges from everybody. The only thing I'm going to say is be consistent in what you do. Okay? Because if you get a referral from a friend, you gave first person a beautiful closing basket, and then the second person didn't get anything. Try to be consistent, because number 1 will talk to number 2 and they're going to go, well, why didn't I get a basket? Okay? Consistency is super important. Okay? Any questions up to that?
Yeah, no, the only thing I note, I think you said that sometimes for referrals, was it you that said you give a $5 Tim card or something just in case it works out or not? Was that you?
We do that. We used to do movie tickets, and I do believe you're right with, I think it's Chad does. I haven't sold in 5 years, so
Right. Yeah.
But we used to do movie tickets. We would
Okay.
get one of those things from Costco just
Yeah.
to say thank you.
Yeah.
And it worked really well, because let me tell you, if you're a family with kids and you want to go to a movie with them, it's nice to have the passes to go for free, because it's an expensive night.
Yeah.
And the Costco ones, I think they've gone up, I think, to $29. I think he is still doing that, as far as I know. 100% sure. But even a handwritten note, it really means something to people when you say thank you to them. Okay. So this buyer timeline, this is different things that you will definitely be doing, minus the one where you see earnest money. That is your deposit. And the closing is different. Oh, maybe Erin took it off. Isn't she nice? Because they have closing companies instead of lawyers. It must have been right here. So that's when they go to the lawyer. Okay. So they will go to the lawyer a few days before closing. Closing walkthroughs. When should you be doing them?
The morning of closing.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's sometimes that, for whatever reason, their clients want to do it the night before. Warn them of the problems with that. Okay. Because if they don't see the house right before they call their lawyer and say we're good to go, you could have a river running through the basement because it rained a lot the night before. Closing, when you go in that morning, they're going to be in the house within a couple of hours. So there's very little chance something's going to happen. Okay. Even when they say, well, we should work, ask one of them, at minimum, one of them to be there. Did you do a closing for your clients? No. Answer? No. Everyone should be shaking their heads. Don't take the responsibility for anything. We went through a lot time there during COVID that people were buying houses sight unseen, and agents were doing videos. Okay. I would strongly, strongly suggest that whatever it is, they come to at minimum the building inspection. You can see the house if they're happy with it. If they're not, you can get out of it at that point. But if they don't like something in the house, it's going to be your fault. Okay. Instead of sending them a video, I think the best thing to do is walk through the house with your camera, have them on FaceTime or something, and make sure you're going into every corner so that you are able to show them, okay, this is a bit of a problem. Okay, but never do any of this. Should you do an inspection without your client? No. Anything without your client is dangerous. Yep, go ahead. Oh, Bill, I thought you had something. Yeah, so always trying to take the onus off of you, because when something goes wrong, they're going to look for someone to blame. If they did it, you're not going to get blamed for it. Okay. Makes sense? That's why I still would give 3 names. You don't have to, but the building inspector is the only building inspector you sent to them, and he messes up, it's going to be your fault. Okay.
Yeah. A building inspection is just an opinion. It's one person's opinion, right? There's no
Exactly.
there are parameters of their work and stuff, but everyone varies, right?
Exactly. And everyone's ability to deal with a problem. Like, I've done inspections where I go in, oh my God. If I was buying that house, I would have walked away. But your buyer may look at it and say, oh, my dad can fix that. And actually, I have said, you know what? Call your dad and see if he's good to do that. Then it's completely off your plate. So there's different tolerances to what people are ready to accept all the time. Like for me, that house has to be tickety boo when I walk in. So I would definitely have a professional cleaner in my offer. Okay, because I've seen what room sweat can mean, and literally there's dust and lines from the broom. Right? So, and that's okay with some people. Well, you know, it really depends. And honestly, when I'm thinking about it, when I moved into mine, there was some issues, but I'm also the type of person that's going to clean through that entire house, even if it looks perfectly clean, right? So it really depends on your buyer or your seller's tolerance to different things. Okay. So this is something you'll get this is a great list. Okay. Just keep these lists. You're going to get a video of this. You can actually screenshot it and keep it, but it's when do you touch base with lenders or the title when you see title company, that's the company that closes the properties. It's your lawyer. Okay. And you're writing an offer. What should you be looking at very carefully? Calendar. Why? Because you're going to close a house on a Saturday. Not, it's never going to happen because a lawyer will not close a house on a Saturday. They can't because the registration fees are not open. So, what else are you looking for on that calendar?
You probably look for holidays, like, Monday's a holiday, maybe not a holiday for everybody, but it could be for government offices and stuff like that. So, and
So
then
what possibly could that affect?
a lot
So
of
you've got
things,
a long weekend in
financing, if it's a bank and stuff, it could be, like you say, registering and a whole bunch of stuff, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So looking at the calendar, making sure you're not on a holiday, making sure you're not on a weekend. I
Yeah.
personally never picked a Friday to close a
Yeah.
house.
I was just going to say Thursday is better than Friday. You got some time
Yeah.
to finish it.
Stay away from the ends of the month or the first day of the month. And that's because for some reason, I think it's renters more, they want to line it up when they're leaving their apartment. However, just imagine if the house doesn't close and everything they've got is sitting in a trunk. Not good. So you're doing your walkthrough, everything looks good. Clients are super happy. They're calling their lawyer. I used to get my clients during the closing to talk to the lawyer right then. As if the lawyer had some questions, we could answer them and look around in the house. Then what do you do? So you're standing there, there's a lockbox on the house. You've got the key in your hand. They say it is good to go. What do you do? You put the key back in the lockbox or ask the agent if you can keep the key. Okay. When you get notification from the lawyer that it is closed, then you give it to your buyer. Okay. You're going to see a lot of agents give it to their buyers at the closing and basically tell them if something goes sideways, get me the key back as fast as possible. Those buyers are super excited about getting into their house. There's a good chance before it closes, they're going to walk right into that house and it's not theirs. So it's no different than breaking and entering. Okay. Because things can go wrong on both sides of a closing, right? They may not have the closeout amount with the lawyer or something, and something may not close. So make sure you are in control of the key. Most agents are fine with you keeping the key, so you don't have to go back to the house, get it out of the box, then meet your client. But that is a perfect time to say thank you. So, say you're closed. What time are you planning to go down to the house? Probably going right away. Tell them that you'll meet them there with the key. If it doesn't work for you, obviously you can't do that, but you'll have to meet up and give them the keys. You're closing a property for a seller. What do they do with the keys?
They got to leave the key.
So normally what'll happen is a lot of lawyers will ask for one key and then tell them to keep all of the rest of the keys in the house on the kitchen counter. So as long as they can get in, then all the keys are there. Ask your seller to label the keys. Like I went in and I'm not kidding, there must have been 50 keys on the counter. I had 4 kids and I was thinking to myself, they were very good saying, I need all the keys for the buyers, obviously. Keys are out there all over the place. So leaving them in the house. There are a few lawyers that will say, I have all the keys. Then you'll have to get them from the lawyer and get them to your buyer. Or the selling agent may go and pick them up and get them to you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Automatic garage door openers too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had someone that shipped their vehicle, but the garage door opener was still in the vehicle. So they had to mail it once the vehicle arrived. So
Happens all the time. Okay, so keys, remotes. I just heard about one and it's actually quite funny. You're thinking about houses. There are remotes for so many different things now. So there's remotes for lights that are up high. There are remotes for blinds. There are remotes for, well, the garage door opener, all kinds of different things. When you're closing, make sure that they're there and make sure that they work. Okay. Um, Actually, Chad's team, um, he got there and none of the remotes were working. So she ended up running to Canadian Tire, I do believe, to get a new battery for the remotes so they could test them because they couldn't, they had beautiful big windows in the house and they couldn't get the blinds up. So how angry would you be the next day to find out the blinds aren't working? Right? And all of a sudden that beautiful view you have of the lake, you can't see it. Points of documentation. Okay. Our world is a little easier with this. You do have to make sure that your buyer or seller has a copy of absolutely everything. DocuSign has made this so much simpler because they are going to have a copy as soon as they sign it. Okay. What happens if you have an older couple that can't do DocuSign? You're at their house having it annually signed.
You got to take a picture of them with your phone to have a copy with you.
Well, you can do that. You can go straight back to the office and make them copies and go back again. There is a free app that you can put on your phone called Genius Scan. This thing is fabulous. It's actually better than some printers. And you just take a picture of it. It's very good if you're taking a picture of a license because it'll make it nice and straight and you can take front and back on the same email. And you can email it or text it to your client. I would do it right in front of them. So they actually have a copy of whatever you've just done for them. Okay. And it is free. It was my son that showed Chad and I how it worked because he uses it for he's an inspector for the Port Authority and he uses it for inspections. So these things go into the government and it even straightens your sheet when you use it. So just download that, make your life really easy. But a picture works too. I'm really bad at taking pictures of documents. So my hands must shake or something. Okay. We've talked about a lot of this. Right? Who's involved in the transaction? Paper that you're filling out with the dates that it has to happen. Let's make a spreadsheet and put in who is doing it as well. Okay, so if your client calls and says, okay, my building inspector can be there at 2 on Thursday. Okay, I would put right into that document who the building inspector is and the date they're doing it. And then make sure you get a appointment to go in and do the inspection. Okay, Just like showing a house, you have to have an appointment every time you're going into that property. Okay, this is just, it's basically what we've been talking about, but expanding it, making sure everyone has a copy of stuff. Inspection reports. Some inspectors send it to the agent. Make sure your client gets it and make sure that they've read it. That's just a phone call. Hey, I sent you your inspection last night. Did you read it over? What do you think? They'll say, yes, I read it, but they won't answer what do you think if they haven't. Okay. Appraisers. Bank seems to be getting better with this. An appraisal is still part of your conditions. Okay, so if the bank needs to have an appraisal, has to be done before you firm up. Okay, why does it have to be done before you firm up? Talkative group. So what happens? You lift your financing clause, and then the bank says, oh yeah, we need an appraisal. Well, the appraiser's going in. That's a problem. Because if it comes in below what they paid for the house, they are on the hook to have cash for that difference. Okay. Some people are perfectly fine with that. You may have someone that says cash deal, but then they decide put an appraisal through and mortgage the property. They are still upheld to the cash deal. So that appraisal, it really doesn't matter what comes back because they have firmed up and they have said to the sellers they are a cash deal. Okay. But you can just imagine the hiccup if that appraisal comes in super low. Right? So if you sell a house for 500, you're only putting 5% down and they ask for an appraisal. Your buyer asks for an appraisal and it comes in less, they're on the hook for that house. If they don't do it before conditions. For conditions, all they have to do is say to the bank, well, I'm not going to fund the difference in this. Okay. Communication, communication, communication. You can never over communicate in your transaction. No client is ever going to say, oh, she called me too much or she texted me too much. Why do I like text? Communication, when it's verbal, even with a verbal, I would say send a text or an email summarizing what you just had that conversation. Then just say, are we on the same page? And when they say yes, you have it in writing. Texts are great because they can't say, well, no, you didn't tell me that the appraisal came in too low and I have to, pay more. When you're telling them about it, just say, I'm sending you along a text. Our appraisal did this. Or, the sellers just called and said, garage door remote just broke. As when you get there, obviously you're going to say, well, have it fixed for closing. But if you didn't have that in writing, and that means to the other agent and to your own seller. Okay. Always protect yourself. Let's do a scenario. You have a young couple buying a house. They're being stretched. Their father is a contractor. They decide dad's going to do the inspection.
You said that. What do you
What's
get
the
that?
way to protect yourself with this? Without pissing them off, especially pissing off the father. One of the things you can do is send a text and say, oh, it's wonderful that your father's doing this. However, you do understand that you don't have someone that would be liable for the inspection. Or another scenario, I'm not going to do a septic field because my parents said they never fail. What would you do in that case?
I'd insist on it.
Yep. They still don't want to do it. They don't
Yeah.
want to spend the money.
And sign off on it,
Exactly.
document
So
it.
against your agent's advice, I I have refused to do a septic inspection. Or against my agent's advice, I will not be doing and get them to sign it. I had this happen to me. It was a friend of the parents were friends, and the daughter was buying a house, and her father said, "We don't have to do a septic inspection. I know that area. It's a good area, blah, 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 blah." So I had her sign a waiver. And 3 months later, I get a nasty email saying, "Can you send me my uh, offer to purchase and the disclosure statement?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. But what's going on?" She says, "Well, my septic field just failed." So I go into my file, get the whole file, put the waiver on the top of the file, and I text her or I emailed her the entire file. Basically, that was, I told you to do an inspection and you didn't. See daddy for the money because he's the one that told them not to do the inspection. Right? But it was in writing, and she was coming flying at me saying, "You should have told me to do an inspection." So that waiver saved every argument coming forward from that. Okay. Any questions?
No, thank you though. There's some good information there. I appreciate it.
Laura Lee, do you have any um, feedback or input related to water testing on town services? Like, do you see that happen often or?
Not often. I've had a few very organic type people, and they have tested their tap water. A lot of people are testing their sewer pipes and things like that to make sure that they're not a problem because that's an expensive fix. So they have those inspections done. Um, the water testing, Halifax water is what it is, or city water is what it is, and you can't really fix it. But if it's because your clients want to have it done, always tell them, "Oh, no problem, we'll do it." Okay. Water tests. Who is doing the water test?
No, the
You go
client,
and take a water test all by yourself.
the client or the company that they hire?
So if the client says, "I don't need to have a company come in and do it, I don't want to pay for it," you can go in and do a water test. What I would suggest is one of your building inspections, ask one of the building inspectors to teach you how to do a water test properly. And it's not hard. You just have to make sure that you're careful with the cap and you've let it run and you've cleaned the taps and stuff like that. Okay. Companies do it and you're off the hook completely. Um, I had a person, I sold them a house and I always let them bring in, I don't bring sample into the hospital unless they're really stuck and they can't get it there. But they bring in the sample to the hospital or to the place over in Dartmouth. Um, why would you not want to bring that sample in?
I'm liable.
You're taking on the responsibility. And guaranteed, if it's people always need someone to blame. And it's like, "Oh, well, you must have not put in the right sample. You put bottled water in it." I had a client that was the opposite of this. I was selling their house again. They bought it through me. And I tell my sellers, test your water out and see what it's doing. Then you'll know what happens when they're testing their water. So we can sort of fix the problem before they get here. And he came in and he says, man, I have a massive amount of arsenic and uranium. And I said, is there building around here? Because your water was good when you bought it. He goes, oh, it was good when I bought it. He put water, I'll put bottled water in the container. It's, oh, okay, thank God you brought it there. But I've seen it happen. I've seen people saying, I don't care what the water's like, I'm going to put a system on anyway. And they just want to have a good system for the bank or have a good water test for the bank. So stay away from liability as much as humanly possible. Okay. You're going to find in the city now, most of the time, the inspectors will do water tests or the water people will do the water tests. Let them do it. And the onus is off of you. In the country, most people, and it was funny on on the Facebook page, everybody said, hire someone, hire someone, hire someone, hire someone. And I had a couple of calls from agents outside the city. And it was like, I never hire anyone for a water test. I said, no, it's very different in the city. Like it's very different. So, and if your clients bought another house before, probably not going to want to pay someone to come in and do the water test. But just make sure the onus is off of you. Okay. Any questions? So one of the things, and I brought this up, is the templates. When you make that list the first time, keep a template of it. So the second time, it's just a matter of putting in dates or putting in closing things that you have to do for closing. I always say, give them something in writing. And it again takes the onus off of you. First thing they're going to say, oh, she didn't tell me to do that. No, how to prepare your house for closing. Feel it. All kinds are going to come up and make it your own. Feel anything. W is fabulous for that. Okay. These ones are a little bit different because they do a little bit different in. Okay, so this is our command. As of yesterday or the day before, we do have a new thing in it. We do all of our paperwork through command. Okay. It's fabulous. It's going to give you updates on exactly how your business is doing. Okay. If you have a database that's only working at 30%, probably a good idea to look at that database. And that just means you don't have enough emails, you don't have your phone numbers. What does that do? It tells you to call these people that are in your database and get all of the information. Emails, same thing. Addresses. Why is the address good to have? A lot of people, I'll be honest with you, I was horrible at putting in addresses. But we have a system in command that they can get a mini CMA every month from you. Okay. And please don't ask me where you find it because I'm not selling right now, but ask Erin or the girl at Alicia or somebody. But it's great because it's like a smart plan does a mini CMA. So think about how beneficial this will be when you sell a house to someone. What's going to be better? And once a month, they get an email from you showing them exactly how their house is performing. Okay, so it'll do, in the neighborhood, you pick the neighborhood, size of the house and all that different stuff. So it pulls out sales, it pulls out what's on the market, and it tells them approximately what their house is now worth. So their house has gone up $20,000. What opportunity does that give you? Finding out if they want to move to another house and make another $20,000. downsizing, upsizing, whatever it is, it's there. What have you done? You gave them important information, was valuable to them, right? And you contacted them once a month. I think actually you can do it twice a month. I think that's overkill. But when you hear in all the training, you should be touching your people 33 to 36 times. That's hard. Think about how easy it is in command to put something in that a smart plan that touches them 12 times. A newsletter touches them 12 times. We're already up to 24 and they get a evaluation of their house. Brad and I used to do this manually. So in November, that was our job. We did mini CMAs for all of the people that had bought houses from us. And we sent it to them and said, you know, congratulations, your house is now worth, you know, $30,000 more than it was last year. So you made a really good decision on the neighborhood and the house you bought. What does that do? It used to take us weeks and weeks and weeks to do. And now you can click off a box. Okay. It's a great way to pick up clients too. Put out on Facebook the link. They fill out the form for you. Then you have them and they're getting something from you once a month automatically. And you know what? I have never heard of someone saying, please don't send me this. Because anyone that has a house wants to know how it's performing. Right? So that's all there for you to use. Health of your database is super important for these things because nothing is going to be more frustrating than trying to do something like that and you don't have the address for the house. Okay. Again, we're seeing the word communication over and over and over and setting up expectations up front. Okay. This is how your house should look on the day of closing. Now, this is what you can expect when we do our walkthrough. Okay. And this is so, so important. Someone's world is falling apart. Okay. And they can be as cranky as I'll get out with you. Okay. Because something is not going right. Try to stay professional and positive. There's going to be days you want to tell a client to take a flying leap. Do it with a smile, basically. Leave whatever's happening in your own life because everyone has a bad day. Your clients, you can lose a client over you having a bad day. So if you're going out, even if you're in the car, breathe and say, okay, I'm doing this. Put a smile on your face. Changes the way you're going to react with your client. Okay? Because your bad day shouldn't go into their bad day. Their bad day, you just have to know that tomorrow will be better. Okay? What is your opinion on firing a client? New agents are less likely to do this, mostly because you can put up with a lot more. But I can tell you, if you have a client that one is not treating you properly, two, you figure is unethical, three, they're wasting your time constantly, that's a time to walk away. Okay? At the beginning, I totally get you're not going to do that. Your real estate career has come full circle when you're able to do that. Okay, because you can just imagine what it's like if you get 6 to 8 clients in a row that are like that. There's a good chance the next few months are going to be horrible price-wise. And those are the people that will pull good right out of you. James?
Hello. I've been here. I've just been kind of in the background, but I can elaborate on what we're talking about right now. I had an experience like this. I'm coming up on my first year in real estate, and I have had to fire a set of clients, and I did go through the experience of thinking that I needed them because I was at the beginning of my career and I was just taking anything that came my way. Specifically, it was during the winter season and I didn't have anything else going on. So I was driving these buyers all over HRM every single weekend, sometimes during the week as well. And we were getting absolutely nowhere. This went on for months. And Chad is my mentor. I was talking it through with him and I was just really excited to have clients. But it was becoming more and more clear that these people had no idea what they wanted. They weren't serious buyers, and found myself in a situation where I really wanted to see it through to the end, not just to prove to myself that I could do it and to fulfill my commitment to my clients, but also to have the satisfaction of getting through this working with these difficult clients. And Chad really put it into perspective for me, which was hard for me to see being a new agent and really wanting to close a deal. But he said, James, you're chasing your losses at this point. And he was absolutely right. It was not an easy thing to do to fire them because I was thinking about the time, the effort, the mileage, the money that I put into invested into trying to find a home for these people. So it was really hard for me to wrap my mind around cutting them loose. But it was becoming more and more obvious to me that they weren't serious and it was going nowhere. We were running in circles. And so I bit the bullet and I did it as the spring market started to come into play and I started to get busier with other clients. They became less important to me as unserious buyers. I ended up cutting my ties with them, and it was such a liberating thing to do. I can't even tell you how much I learned through the experience. I'm happy that I had this experience because I look back at it as a really, really great learning experience. Not just learning the signs to look out for and learning my value and how I should be defending myself and my business, but I also had a great learning experience running around for months with these people, writing the odd offer for them. None of the offers were really stood a chance, but it gave me good experience in showing homes. It gave me good experience in writing offers. It gave me good experience in dealing with clients who didn't know what they wanted. So it was a really, really good learning experience. I don't regret it, but when I did break up with them, it felt like a huge weight off my shoulders, even though I wasn't able to see it through to the end. It opened up my time. The stress level went down, and it opened up my time to be able to commit that to more serious people, lead generation, and actually moving forward with some people instead of just spinning my wheels over and over again. So it was a really great feeling when I actually did it, but it did take me some time to be able to reach that decision because I was focused so much on all the time that I had already spent on it. But when I started to view that as a learning experience as opposed to something that I was losing out on, it changed everything. And I'm really happy that I did it. And I've had quite a bit of success since cutting them loose. I've had quite a bit of success with other clients. And like I said, it really gave me a lot of valuable tools to move forward with in this career.
And this is something that in this career, I 100% agree. When you're first starting out, it is tough to do it because that could be the paycheck, right? But as you keep growing and you get your business to a stable level, okay, when someone comes to me and they have all these issues, right? And some of them are very, very scary. It could be I'm not making enough money for my family, right? And I don't know if I want to get out of this business. That's not the voice you should be listening to. The voice you should be listening to is get my head down and do what I need to do to sell real estate. Would you ever think of one, quitting real estate or working with someone that doesn't respect you or having issues with an assistant, whatever it is, or not making enough money? So all of these things completely stress you out. If you had 10 pendings, would you be stressed out? No. So what is the answer to most issues in real estate? Put your head down and work. That is going to get you through everything. Okay. It's hard. You could be having hard time at home, and it's hard to work, and it all compounds because you may be dealing with something at home, so you're not working. Then you bring in the problem of not having enough money, and just keeps on snowballing. The answer to everything is put your head down and work. One of the things that I totally get, because I did it. I can tell you my two absolute worst years was when I was taking care of my father, to the point where the government actually audited me because my salary or my income had changed so drastically. I was in a position where Chad just put over, right? Which is great. But think about going through something like that and not being able to get through it in an easy way. But how much more could you do if you had 10 pendings? If you had a job, you were accountable to somebody else. Who here has had a boss before? Everybody, right? How accountable were you to that person? Do you just say, oh, it's sunny out today, I'm going to go to the beach? Or it's almost Christmas, so I'm going to take time off. You would never ever do it, right? Now you are the boss. You are the boss of yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable. And I personally think, who here is more accountable to someone else than themselves? I don't know anyone that's not, to be honest with you. We laugh at our place because Chad says, do you have any idea how much you'd make in real estate if you worked as hard as you work for KW Select? I have to go way back to lifeguard, my teens, have a boss, as I had my own businesses from then. But I know I'm not as accountable as I should be to myself. This works with the gym. Okay. If you're having trouble getting up and going to a gym, or, going for walks, that's someone that's going to hold you accountable. Times that I was the best going to the gym is when I had a trainer, because I would not show up for her. But if, like right now, like, Chad, do you feel like going to the gym? No, you? No, go for dinner. So we're not good at holding ourselves accountable, but we always hold ourselves accountable to other people. Anybody that has children totally understand this. Kids get everything from you, and you actually give them what you need. And that's super important to back up with that. And the best way to explain that is on an airplane. Put your mask on first. You being good, going to make it good for everybody else. Okay? Questions, comments? Okay. Keeping a deal alive versus the risk of it falling apart. Communication, technique, and having the ability to see what's coming down the road. Communicating that to your clients is the best practice. And you will have no trouble keeping things alive. When there's a problem, always have a solution. Okay, if you know, okay, I have to call these clients and tell them something about, I don't know, you might have seen something at the house, or the agent just told you something else and you have to tell them. Bring a solution with it. Like, oh, well, they didn't put on the disclosure statement that they get a little bit of water in the basement. Okay, they're just protecting themselves at that point. But what is your solution to that? You have to phone them and tell them, oh, I was just told there's some water in the basement. What could you start with? okay, I have something to tell you, but we don't have to panic. Let's bring in a water consultant or a foundation consultant and see what he has to say about it. And then you're moving forward in an educated manner. You've already fixed the, oh my God, don't worry about it. Let's bring someone in to show them. Same thing, you'll find some building inspectors are people that scare the death out of people, right? Other building inspectors will say, okay, do you see this? It's a little bit crooked, but this is going, you know, you can do this, this, or this. And he has the solutions. But just talk to people and find out who's got building inspectors like that. Yeah. Okay, you are always a fiduciary with your clients. Okay. Always put them first. Do not put the paycheck first. Okay. I know sometime at the beginning it's like, okay, they're driving me crazy and, you know, I just want this over so I can get paid. Yes. However, it's going to go wrong. I can promise you it's going to go wrong. Always put them first and the money will come because you are an agent that people will trust and admire and pull everything together for them. Okay. You guys know what the Y4Cs, 2Ts are? It's basically what KW lives by. It's the first one is win-win. I'll send it out well, it's actually on just open anything KW and it'll be there. It's on our wall at the front. And basically it's actually explains how to act the best interest of your clients at all times. Okay. Because I can tell you when you don't, word gets around really fast that you as an agent didn't do something for their client. Okay. And they were working for themselves. Okay. This we've talked about, and I'm sure everyone has. So repeat and referral business, best business you can have. Making sure it is also the easiest business to have because you have people calling you at that point. And it's making sure that you have your referral people in place. I call them A clients. What an A client for me is, and you can actually put this in as a tag on your database. A client means that they know someone is selling a house, they're going to talk about you right away. Okay. They are looking for people to refer to you. Okay. They think about you first all the time. Good client is if they think about it, they may refer you. They had a really good relationship with you. And then there's the next person that will not refer to anybody. And those people are very real. Might have been burnt once. Like we just weren't burnt. I sent my son, our roofer, who does all of the work for our clients, and he has not called my son back. So right away, my son said, Mom, what's with this guy? But think about a client in that position. Right? Okay, well, they gave me these people and they're not good workers or they're, you know, he just threw a name at me. Make sure your referral people are really good people, okay, which will make your referral business really good. Understand there are people out there, it doesn't matter if you were God, they are not going to refer your name. It's going to really bug you. But they are people that probably refer nobody because they might have been burned or they just never think about it, to be honest with you. Telling people how referrals work is huge because people don't think about it until you tell them and ask them for the referral. Okay. The best time to do that is right in the time that they love you in that section when they're getting ready to close a property or right after. Okay. Don't ask them for a referral when you haven't talked to them for 6 months, because you're not going to get it. Okay. Client reviews. Always ask for them. You know the clients that really love you and feel like friends by the end of the deal. Okay. And this is another thing. You feel like their friend. That's why when you just disappear, it's hard on them. Okay. But client reviews are really important because it's easier for you to have testimonials from somebody else saying how wonderful you are instead of you saying, I am fantastic. Because it's not coming out of your mouth. You're not going to say something negative about yourself, right? It holds more energy and it holds more value when it comes from someone else. And it's something a lot of agents don't do. Does anyone here have any testimonials yet? Okay. You should be asking for them all the time. Just don't post them if they're negative. Seen a sign in a restaurant that I ran in to get some sushi. And it said, if you have a good review, post it on Google. If you have a bad review, please talk to us. Which makes sense. Ours is a little easier than that, other than Google review. Don't ask someone for a Google review unless you know it's going to be good. Can't get rid of it. Okay, asking for referrals. Every conversation. Know anyone that's selling? No. I'm always looking for more business. And the close of the transaction is so, so important because that's when they're in love with you. Okay, they just got their house or they just got their money for the house you just sold. Okay, or both. During the transaction, a lot of people, when you're showing houses, will say, oh, my friend's seen this house. That's a huge opportunity. Well, who's your friend working with? Oh, you mind giving my name to them? I'd love to work with them too, right? Or make it a kind of a joke and say, you guys were absolutely fantastic to work with. Can you go out and try to find me more clients just like you? They will, okay? Always complimenting the other people about how, it could even be how good they were at picking the right house. And then moves to the next session where they want to give you to someone else to make someone else's life easy as well. It's the same. Okay, so do you know where the smart plans? Has anyone tried a smart plan yet? They're pretty easy. Okay, so go into your command and go into smart plans. There's all kinds that are already set up. And say one of the ones that I just looked at, and it's actually very good, is an open house one. So you're doing an open house, you have all these names. First thing I would do is write them a note Monday after the open house. They're getting something other than a bill in the mail. Okay. It means you took the time to actually do something. Put them on a smart plan. So once a week for the next maybe 10 weeks, because they're probably looking for a house, you can send them stuff like, what to look for when you're in a showing, what to look for in resale, whatever comes up, find them and put them into a smart plan or deal the ones that are already there. They even show you, see, like the neighborhood nurture is the thing that I was talking about. It's got 4.5 stars. Okay, anything that's got that type of stars is probably pretty good. That's already set up for you. That one will have a duration of 15 touches. Okay. So that's probably 12 when they get their thing. And then other times you may get a notice that says, call this person and say, did you get my thing? Isn't that wonderful that your house has gone up this much? Not sure what to do for lead gen one day. Go for a drive and look at friends' houses, look at houses that you sold to people, looking at a house that maybe you sold, and then reaching out to the person and saying, wow, I love our new shutters, or wow, I can't get over how big that tree has got in the front yard. And because I guarantee you, they are running past that house as well. Or, you know, you've done a wonderful paint job, or the house looks great. These are ways to communicate with people without going, how do I start this conversation? But smart plans make your life really easy. So like with 15 touches, you're halfway there to what you have to do for the year. And put a Christmas card out, put happy birthday. That's just putting it's basically a smart plan that every year sends them birthday card. You don't have to worry about it. The other one is your house anniversary. Happy birthday to your house. Well, you have now been in the house for 3 years, and that all happens automatically if you fill out your command and have a good referrals source. Okay, co-agent follow-up. Okay, this is twofold. Number one, if it's a good deal, tell the other agent. Okay, it was great working with you. I don't get into telling an agent that they were doing things wrong. But you know, just saying something, if they made a mistake in something and we have training for it, we say, hey, you should come into this training. You don't have to tell them they were doing something wrong. It's a way of following up with people and the other agents. Why is it good with KW to follow up with other agents? I'm going to wait for a response on this one, so we could be here until tomorrow if you don't. Come on.
Referrals.
Thank you. Okay, referrals and with another agent. Why are you communicating with your co-agent? They're nice. That should give you a hint.
Profit share.
Thank you.
I'm on a
Easiest way
roll.
to do it. I know. So think about profit share. This is the easiest way to do it. Okay. All you say is that was a fantastic deal. We should sit down for a coffee. The main topic is them. You talk 10%, they talk 90%. They are going to complain about the industry and their company. That's when you have an opening and say, if you ever talk to KW, because KW has a lot of things that would fix that. Is it okay if I have Lauralee call you? That's it. It's easy. You had a coffee. Some people give gifts to the other agent as well. You're building relationships. It's like everything else. Do you know how easy a relationship if you're doing another deal with same agent and you ask them to go out for coffee? You are now at a different level working on that deal. And it's always an easier deal when you have the relationship. Do not burn bridges in this industry because the word gets around and you will end up doing a deal with that person again. So try to keep it as positive and up as you can. One of the things that we have that works really well with this is if you're having problems with an agent, call the broker team. They will deal with the problem and you're not dealing with the negative side of that transaction. Okay. Comments? Concerns? Should be almost like for the future. We went through that. We're almost done, guys. Okay. How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters. Okay. Mindset. Anytime you see training, whether it's a podcast or actual training, put into it because mindset, I would say, is more than 50% of this business. Okay. And going in with a good mindset is huge. It always works so much better to all of your clients. If they know they have a safe landing place every time they work with you, they're going to be working with you all the time. Every person in this world knows 5 people one time that are selling or buying a house. If you don't ask, they're not going to tell you that. Okay? I obviously went ahead. Okay. Mindset is most easily obtained. Positive mindset is most easily obtained when you are taking care of yourself. Okay. That could be, I have a showing after and I'm not in the mood. Go for a walk, get some fresh air, and then go to your showing. Okay. Any suggestions on this? Who here thinks they take care of themselves enough? Check that out. I figured that was going to happen. I didn't think they do, but they don't always, but they think they do. James, I think you're really good with this with David. Women don't, period. I would say if you had 1,000 people in a room, 1 or 2 women will put up their hand. Okay, so that's where make it your job to take care of yourself. Okay, these are the 4 C's. So win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. If you're going to do it right. And do it at the highest level. Communication is up again. Seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. Have an idea book. Every time you hear something another agent does, write it down. Rework. Like I was in a session and I have a whole page of stuff that Chad needs to do. He'll love me showing him it, but should be fun. Teamwork. Together, everybody achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. And this is big with your clients because they have to know you, like you, and trust you. So always putting them first and always being honest about the situation, even if it's hard to be honest. Maybe, okay, you're getting into a bad deal here. I'm not sure this is the house for you. That's okay to say. They're going to trust you 100% more. Equity, opportunity for all, and success results through people. Okay, working with people, asking people for help, helping others. It all increases your ability to do this job. Value. When you do something you know you did well, write it down. Okay, and that's going to be your value opportunity for your client. You have to be able to tell yourself, this is what I am doing well. And when you're doing it well, you are confident in spreading the word to your clients. Like, no, I'm going to do that for you. That is in my value proposition. I am really good at doing this, and that's going to help you. Keep notes on this because you're all relatively new and you're not sure what your value is yet. And nobody's value is exactly the same. When you do something and it works, write it down as a good value. If you do something and it doesn't work, put it on the other page and maybe a year, try it again to see if you're in a different spot with whatever that was. But having that list, because what happens if you don't have that, when you're trying to communicate your value, you are not able to do it. You have it down as a list, and that could be your buyer's packages. Make sure your value is all through buyer's package or your seller's package, or even have that list. These are my strong points. This is what I can do for you. Okay. But always make sure every year you're going to find something else. Hey, I'm pretty good at that. Let's do it again. Okay. Revisit your big life. Everybody here has their goals. You know what their life wants. You want your life to look like. Did anyone do a vision board? Nope. Okay. For next week, when you walk in this office, Your picture on your phone, you know, the front profile picture when I have my grandkids on it. If you open your phone, you've got something there. Take a picture of what you need in your life. What is your big life? What do you want it to look like? It could be sitting on a beach in Hawaii. Okay. It could be that you want to buy a new property. Whatever it is, put it on your phone or your computer. And every time you open that up, it's there because it's easier to obtain that than it is to obtain a dollar figure. Okay. My coach actually said this to me almost when I started with KW. Look at your big life, Laura. Now double it because that's what you're capable of doing. Okay. And I guarantee you the next year when you're doing it, you are going to be able to say, well, I did that. So let's see where I can go now. Okay. And that may be more time off. Can read this one. Gives you a purpose and a mission and you have a goal to get to a big life or a big why. Okay. Because you are after extraordinary results. Is anyone here saying, yeah, I just want to be mediocre in real estate? No. Set your goals high. If you're aiming for the sun and you hit the stars, I think we're pretty good, right? But if you don't know where you're going, the route is very different to get there. You have the route, you know where you want to be, and know why you want to do that. For us, one of the big things is we want a vacation with our children, okay? And we want to be able to do that for them constantly. That's a why for me, okay? And the reason I want to do that is because I want that family dynamic to stay as close as they are right now. Continue with that, with grandchildren and nieces and nephews, and have that unity. So it's not a huge thing that's on my list. Like there's other things for you. It may be debt free. I want to be 100% debt free, including the mortgage. Just think about your life when you don't have to make a payment to the bank every month. Remember that $15,000 check when you don't have to send it to your bank and your Visa card and all stuff like that. It's yours to do with what you want. Saving it and using it to make more money is always a good plan. Okay? Big why powers your big life. Without the big why, you're not going to have a big life. 6 core competencies of business, lead gen, presenting, showing buyers and market sellers, writing, negotiating contracts, coordinating the sale to close, and managing money. Okay. That's real estate. Okay. The last one, I can actually tell you, it's not in any other company core, basically. Anytime you can, take wealth building seminars, training, and see what KW is teaching you to build that big life and manage your money. I can tell you there are agents who make $300,000-$400,000 and they don't have a penny in the bank. Okay. Take the courses about the 30-30-40 rule. Okay. Which means you have cost of sales is 30, your expenses is 30, your profit is 40. That's what you want to make sure is strong. So if your numbers are off, and knowing your numbers is huge, demand is going to be fabulous for this because you're going to know your numbers every day now. Because you're going to fill out your trade record sheet and it's in command. So it's actually going to tell you exactly where you're going. Okay. Analyze at the end of the year and say, My expenses too high? Do I have to do more deals in order to have my life the way I want it? Analyze, analyze, analyze. If you're not sure how to do it, everyone should have a P&L statement. Makes your taxes a whole lot easier too, because you need everything organized to get that P&L statement. But if you're not sure how to do that, make an appointment with Erin. He's fabulous at this, and she'll help you get set up. Okay? Any questions on that? No? Okay, where do your commission dollars go? Another agent? That's half. Sometimes it doesn't feel like they should be making the same as you. Or if you're really thinking, oh, I flubbed that deal, maybe the other person is the person that you want to strive to be. Then your percentage goes to the market center. Business expenses, taxes. Okay, the government does not care if you went on vacation and you spent the taxes. We're going to come at you hard and fast. If you're really good with money, have it in your own account. If you're not, honestly, 90% of agents are not. Just get them to put it directly into your account so that when you're paying your taxes, it's all sitting there. So you can pay your HST, and you can have money taken off for your income tax as well. Okay, you just set that up with Erin if you'd like to. Then your take at home pay. It's the important stuff. That's the one that you are always working on to increase. Okay, the other ones you're working to actually decrease. So market center, you want to work here for free, 100% all year round? That profit share that pays you $23,000. You're what's called a 100% agent. You are paying us 23, we're paying you 23. You are working here for nothing. After that, one extra person that goes on your line, we're now paying you to work for KW. Okay? So that's where everything comes into play, and analyzing everything. How can I get my market center down what I'm paying? Get profit share. We're going to pay you as much as you're paying them or more. Business expenses. I did this, and oh my God, it was so funny in our house. Mary Keller at one of the sessions said, grab your Visa and your bank statements. Go through line by line. There's 3 categories: need, want, sorry, 4. Don't need, and I have absolutely no idea what this is. And you are going to be shocked to see, I have no idea what that is. 2 bottom ones, you don't need it, and you don't know what it is, get rid of them. Okay? Even the wants, when you're starting out, your wants are not as high as your needs. Your needs are the one thing that you focus on. If you're getting your expenses down, needs you can't. Wage. What is a major need that some agents just don't get? Training. Put that in the needs side. Learning is going to take your business to wherever you want it to go, and KW will take you wherever you want to go. Okay? Oh, we're number 10, by the way. Profit share in the entire world this month. You'll see that at the meeting, which is why you need to start getting a piece of that pie. Okay? Are you sitting down? This, I shouldn't say this because it's not very nice, but Gary Keller has a market center in Austin, which is always right up at the top. Since I've worked here, he's always in the top 10. So who's right behind us now? We're beating Gary Keller's office profit share, which is little Nova Scotia and PEI. So, and we're still running number 2, Canada. Financially sound and unsound, that's just doing what you need to do to know your numbers and keeping it in control. Okay. Taxes are the biggest issue that agents have. So if you're having a problem with it, don't think you're alone. It's basically every agent in here. Okay. But we have things in place to help you with that. Good. Who do you pay first? Other than the tax man. It's a given. You pay yourself. You're the one working hard. Make sure that you're paying yourself and doing the things you need to keep you well. Okay? Income, what goes in, expenses, what goes out, and whatever's left is the profit. That's the number you should be focusing on to keep increasing year after year. Okay? Profit, what is your goal? So this is working it backwards. How do I get to that? So managing your expenses, that's where you go into the needs until you know the income is going to be where you need it to be to get to your goal. Okay, so it's working it backwards. And Command is fantastic for this. We have Glenn McQueenie coming in to do business planning in November, I do believe. This guy is fabulous. He owns 4 market centers and he owns all of Romania. He's from Toronto and he's flying in for this. He in the room. It's really worth seeing for setting your goals for next year and obtaining them. Right down to this is how many appointments you have to go on. Cost of sale, it's related to each transaction. Operating expenses is the monthly stuff that's going to happen if you sell a house or not. Okay, that's the side that really try to keep into control. Your rent, your auto, your salaries that you have to pay for administrators and things like that. Your insurance, your professional services, your license is in that. Marketing and advertising, equipment and supplies, and education. Those are your needs. Cost of sale comes up because you sold a house. Okay, KW is great for that too. You only have $105 a month. Everything else is a cost of sale. So you don't have to pay KW if you don't sell a house. Why do we want you to sell a house? Because then you pay KW and you're going to actually create that big business for yourself, right? Especially with being able to cap. We are so happy. Our capping agents is going up consistently every year. You see the reports coming out. Those people are at 100%. We have people that have figured out how to never pay an admin fee because you pay $150 when you're capped. They can actually change their split so that they never pay that. I can tell you most of our agents cap out as fast as they can. Why? Because you are super, super motivated when you are at 100%. Okay, think about agents. I have an agent that went to 100% with one deal. He's in the South End. But the rest of the year is at 100%. You want to actually work hard when you're working 100% for you. Brad does not change his split. He pays off his cap as fast as possible. And the reason for that is because we have been at offices where their brain is saying, I just made 15 grand and you get a check for 9. When you get a check for 100%, it is very motivating. So everyone, especially on this call, everyone here can get to a cap every year. Okay. Practices, knowing what you want, knowing that you've got all your system in place and moving it forward every day. Okay. Preparing for the future as well. Anyone here want to retire at one point? Everybody should have their hand up, or vacation 6 months a year would be nice, right? That's the goal that you're going to go to every year, whatever your big why is. Okay. Getting paid at closing, it's more complicated in the States. It's very easy here. Our trade record sheets, you should have got an email yesterday. They're super easy to fill out now. And you're going to be able to track by the minute what your income is, what your cap is, everything will be lined up for you with the new way we're doing it, which is great. And using Command. We know people who use command on average make $79,000 more a year. So what does that tell you? The big producers, because it wouldn't be that big if it wasn't the big producers, they're using command because they know they're probably big producers because they're using command. Okay. It takes so much time for you to give to yourself when you're using command. When you're strong agent and you're doing well every year, will save you 17 hours a week. Some of you guys don't know anything but command. So I guess that's not fair. We used to put $15,000 ads in the newspaper. I just put an ad on Facebook for $3. So very, very different. Ads on Facebook are coming back at $1.35 for a lead now, on average. So that's pretty good. They'll pay 150 to 200 for a lead. Okay. Accountability. Does anyone here have an accountability partner yet? Come in, we can try to set you up. Wayne, you're going to go onto the team, so they have accountability and stuff, so that will be good. But it's always good to pick someone and be accountable to them versus productivity coach. Now, most of you, we just lost our productivity coach, so we're in the process again of finding a new one. She's actually quite ill, so we're all wishing her well. But we have some things in the fire to get that productivity coach up and running again. And everyone here has a mentor still, I think. Oh, you don't. But if you need, you have our broker team. And if you're past that and you want to skyrocket your business, look into MAPS coaching. Okay. One of the things that MAPS coaching does, and like they have the stats on how much more people make when they have a coach, it also gives you free family reunion and a lot of networking. Okay. The tools, go in and see what a 411 is. Basically, it's you have 4 that you want to do, and then how you're going to do it with the 1-in-1. I prefer the GPS, which is you're giving yourself 5 things that you want to do and making sure that the most important is at the top because often you don't get to them all. Then how you're go at the bottom of that, it's one after another of how you're going to actually get there. Okay. And if anyone wants to go over these, just make an appointment with me and we'll sit down and go over your business plan. Okay. The one thing, has anyone read the book? Good book to read. Okay. And basically it is, this way to explain it is if you have a glass and you have sand and you have big rocks, if you just put the sand in first, you're not going to get your big rocks in. However, if you do put all of your big rocks in first and then pour in the sand, everything fits together well. The one thing basically are those big rocks. Okay. Every day, well, before your next day comes, so I do it at night. What is why one thing, no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm going to get this done? You have no idea how gratifying that is. And you'll go to number 2 and number 3 because you got that done. Okay. That's always the most important thing. What should be your one thing every day? Lead gen.
Lead generation.
Exactly. Everything comes back to lead gen. Okay. Learning based. This is what we're talking about. Anytime, and I would say make it a priority. Every time you get a check or something, put some aside for training. Try to get to family reunion as soon as you can. Okay, I know it's not cheap for sure, but it is your ROI with family reunion probably 10 times. So what you'll get from family reunion and the money you'll make because of family reunion is going to pay for family reunion 10 times. Okay. That is one, very motivating. And Mega Camp is similar, but on a smaller scale. Lots of really good learning. Reading. Everybody here should have the MREA, which is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. You should read that once a year. It's what you get out the first year is not the same as what you're going to get out the second year. Write in it, circle, highlight, put sticky notes, and keep going back to it. Shift book is really good when we're in a shift, which is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Shift was actually created during 2008. And basically, Shift is showing you how to do business when the business is not strong. And anytime we've gone into a recession or like anything, KW has actually come out stronger because in every shift, there is something you can do in your business to set you apart from the people who are suffering. People down in the States in 2008, there were so many foreclosures. So what did KW teach and shift? And that's when they wrote the book, actually. They taught people to go out, get foreclosures, and investors who have the money still that can buy those foreclosures. And they made fortunes. So they came out stronger than they actually went into the recession. Okay. And then the one thing, if anyone, I have a copy of it. If anyone wants to read it, just text me and I'll leave it at the front desk for you. I think we're almost there. Learning basis is a lot of the thing. And for learning, that's putting your money aside. This is what we want you to get to. Okay. So careers worth having is you're working hard. Make it worth it. Okay. Businesses worth owning. That's very different than being a real estate agent. You have a business that when you want to retire or vacation more, you can create a big business where you can actually step out of the business. That is called a 7th level business, and you're going to start hearing about it. And basically what it is other people you've leveraged to work with you. Okay. Lives worth living. Okay. Every day, living a life of abundance. I had an argument with my daughter. Not an argument. Well, everything with this daughter gets into an argument. But I said, living a life of abundance. And she said, money's not everything, Mom. I said, you are so right. Money's not everything. This is the doctor who's 29, who makes massive amounts of money. She's very much, it doesn't mean everything. No, it doesn't. However, living a life of abundance means every morning you have a choice. So when you wake up in the morning, whatever choices you make, you can follow through with it. It could mean I want to be able to go for a walk. Could mean I want to buy another investment property. What abundance means is when you wake up and you say, I want to buy this property, you can. You don't have to say, okay, well, maybe next year I'll save a little bit every month or whatever. It means today I want to do this, and you can. There's a guy down in the States that his abundance was he wanted to give $1 million away. And he actually stood on stage and said, I'm living a life of abundance. I have given $1 million to some, children with special needs. So he's changing lives. And that's just from him living this life of abundance. Experience worth giving and receiving, not there, and legacies worth leaving. Anyone understand what legacies are? And why we're able as a real estate agent to give them to our loved ones? 2 things. You have a business. You have something that is sellable. So you are just not going to retire off and go from maybe 50 deals a year the 45 to 20 to 2, then all of the hard work you've done over the years is not paying you. Having a business that you can sell is totally different. Your database is the biggest thing in that, making sure you have your strong database. That is something to sell. That is something that's going to help you with retirement. It's also going to leave another legacy for your family. A legacy, back to profit share. Don't forget, if God forbid something happens to you, your profit share continues to go to your loved ones and it continues to grow. So that's the legacy you can leave. Okay. We won't do that. That comes up in the next one. Any questions? Done. You've gone all the way through Ignite. Any questions? Remember, I'm always here if you want to talk about anything. You know, business, planning, what you should be doing next. Either make an appointment or come to R2C. Now, we just figured out that R2C had an issue because people were not getting in because it was asking for a password. But it was 3 weeks before someone told me. So R2C is at noon on Mondays. And that's okay, Laura, where do I take my business? Where can I do this? How do I do that? That's what R2C is for. Any questions?
Laura, we missed a course or a section of this weeks ago, and I'm just wondering, will that be coming
Good
or?
question. Yes, we were talking about that, and they were going to put the session in. Let me find out for you. It'll be coming out in an email when that session will place. Yeah, that was a really bad morning.
I'm also wondering when this is happening next.
It happens 3 times a year. So it'll probably start up again end of November or January.
Okay.
Okay. It really depends on the calendar. Like I know November right now is really booking up a lot. And there's a lot of stuff that is going to be very, very good to come to, especially Glenn McQueenie. When one of the first months I was in KW, he was here teaching Winning with Sellers. And somebody asked, I'm doing well, but I don't seem to be progressing. So he asked the person, where do you get your business from? And he actually looked a little sheepish. And he said, oh, my baseball team is very good for referrals and they're all buying houses. So he thought for sure that they were going to say something like, that's not stable. Or he just came back with, do you enjoy playing baseball? And he said, yes. Says, do you want to double your business? Yes. Join another baseball team. It's as easy as that. Figure out where your business is coming from, keep doing it and expand it and expand it and expand it. And you would laugh because we get a lot of business from my daughter plays all sports or whatever it's called. And he's always referring business off. One of her friends who is on that same group, an agent now. So we're not getting as much from her. She goes, they all go to him. Like, yeah, that's good. It's fun. Just every day, try to figure out more. That's all you can do. Okay? But I haven't put you to sleep, I hope.
Laura Lee, I have another question.
Sure.
Related to this training, and then a couple of the presenters had talked about Bold as being another one. And I'm just wondering, are all of these delivered on specific mornings as opposed to afternoons?
So Bold is specific. Okay. All the other training is not. Don't forget too, you can go into 3 different libraries. So you can go into our website and see training that has been recorded. You can go into region, which is all of Canada, and that's kwcanada.ca. and you can go into international, which is KW University, which is in in Connect. Okay, so there the two buttons up at the top, got command and connect. Start really just exploring that. Bold is different. Okay, so it's one of the very few that you actually pay for. However, they have stats on that on average you'll do 11 more deals because of Bold. Do the math on that with an average price of $10,000 just to make the math easy. That's substantial, well worth the investment. That is, we fly in a trainer once a week for 8 weeks. And that is on specific days because they literally fly in and fly out. Okay. It's not for the faint of heart. I do have agents that say, hey, Bold, because it does keep you accountable. And the reason it keeps you accountable, and that goes back to what we've been talking about, is you're on teams. You don't actually work together, but you're accountable to your team. And you'd be amazed at how good people are when they have to be accountable to their team. You're going to lose points if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing. And most people do it so that they do not get faults. I hate getting faults. And you get a fault for your team if you don't do the weekly stuff that they want you to do. So basically what it is, it's a morning and an afternoon once a week, and they're telling you, do this week, or do it right now in the classroom. And it's shocking. We had, people say it's hard to get appointments. In one of the board classes that I took, I think it was my first one actually, they had a big whiteboard at the top and they gave us a script for making an appointment. There were probably 60 people in the room. By the end of the calls, had to run up and put a mark that they have an appointment because of the call. There were over 100 appointments. So doing the activity guarantees the results. You have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit sometime, and it doesn't feel great sometimes, but it certainly works. Let me tell you, when something works well and you do it, even if it was comfortable, I guarantee you and I promise the next time you do it, it will not be as uncomfortable. And you'll get to the point where you can do this. It's not a problem. So it's just that first time doing it. And do that with everything. Say, tomorrow I'm going to do this. And no matter what, try it. And if it succeeds, I guarantee you you'll do it the next day. Okay? Any other questions? So it was great. All of the instructors said we had such a fantastic group this time. Obviously not coming into the office. Kind of lonely in here, guys. But I'm hope you were able to take some stuff away from it. And it's just the stepping stone to build that big business that I know definitely everyone on this call can do.
There was a lot of great learning. I really appreciated it.
It's Gary Keller. He created this. He changed Bold. Gary Keller actually did it. So we're all looking forward to seeing what that's going to be. To be great. It's bringing in all the new stuff like technology and stuff like that. So when we started, we didn't have anything but a telephone and a phone book. And I can date myself. My MLS or Paragon was in a catalog. It looked like the Sears catalog and it had every listing in it. Am I dating myself a little bit here? I don't think Chad had the book. Didn't have the book for long. Yeah, having to come into the office for absolutely everything. Paying for ads, no social media. You guys have got it good. And all the system. Command is, I had Command from day one, it would have been a totally different
game changer.
Yeah, this never existed. Basically, I don't know. I probably told people this story, but I got my license on a Friday. I had only been in Nova Scotia for months. I had a baby when I got here. Oh, I wasn't even working, meeting people. So I decided, out of the wisdom, is to get my license. Believe it or not, I got a listing, got it on Friday. I had a listing appointment on Saturday. No idea what to do, nothing. And I called the manager and I said, I don't know what to do. And he says, don't worry. He says, I'll meet you at the office 2 hours before your appointment. What did I think? I'm getting training. I get there, he's locking the door, he hands me a file and says, fill these out. That was it. So this is very different. And it's wonderful for new agents. I've watched it. I've had new agents since I started this. This is not like, I know right now you probably feel like, oh, they've been in the business and they're doing so well. I have people that I hired in my year 3, which was 3 years ago, and they're making over $300,000. So anything is possible within 5 years. Anything in your world is possible, right? Those 10 investment properties, you can do it. You just have to tell yourself you can do it. When you're telling yourself this is hard and I can't do it, make an appointment to come in and I'll tell you you can do it. Okay? Especially this group. And one of them I thought, it's where you always think, one of them I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this one. He's now my top 20, which means he makes over 250. You can do it. Just follow the ABCs. Oh, have a great long weekend. I was surprised that you all showed up on a long weekend. I figured more people would be away. But enjoy and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate everything.
Thank you. Have
Thanks,
a great
Laurie.
weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Thank you.
Remember, we're all here.